All right, diving in today, microbrewery websites. Especially for you, I hear you're thinking of starting your own.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, we've got essential features for crafting an engaging microbrewery website experience from site design and now W. And to really get into it, I've got a web design expert here who's worked with a ton of businesses and awesome craft beer communities, just like the one you're stepping into.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an exciting time to be brewing something new.
Absolutely.
Both the beer and the online presence.
Absolutely. So this article, they emphasize that a microbrewery website, it's more than just like an online brochure.
Right.
It's a whole interactive experience. What does that even mean? Like in the world of craft beer, what are we talking about?
Well, I mean, think about it this way. Your website is like your virtual doorway to your brewery, right?
Okay.
So it's the first impression you make on potential customers.
Right.
And you want it to be just as inviting and engaging as if they were stepping into your physical brewery.
Right. So it's not just listing like your hours and address on a page.
Exactly. Yeah.
So where do we even begin with this whole like interactive experience?
Well, let's start with the heart of any microbrewery, right? The beer itself.
Of course.
So this article kicks off by talking about comprehensive beer listings.
Okay.
And, it's not just about slapping a name and a price on there.
Yeah, I get that. But what's comprehensive? What does that mean? Like, do I have to write a novel about each beer?
No, not a novel.
Mm.
But think about, like, painting a picture with words,
Okay.
Imagine you're describing your flagship IPA.
Okay.
So instead of just stating the ADV, the 7%, like, how can you make that alcohol content sound exciting?
Right. Okay.
You could say it's highlight the balance between the hops bitterness and the sweetness of the malt.
Okay.
Or evoke those tropical fruit aromas, that like hit you when you crack open a can.
Yeah. It's like those fancy wine descriptions, but for beer.
Exactly. You want to use language that like gets those taste buds tingling and it makes people like crave a sip,
Totally.
And don't forget those like mouth-watering photos, right?
Yeah.
Think like close-ups of the perfect head of foam. Maybe even like steam rising from the glass, really amp up the sensory experience.
Okay. So we've got our beer listings. They're looking delicious online. What's next?
Yeah.
What else do we need to do to make sure that these beer enthusiasts actually become paying customers?
Well, that's where a user-friendly online store comes in.
Okay. So the article talks a lot about online stores, but like, is it really that important? I feel like most of the sales are going to happen at the brewery.
Well, why your tap room? I mean, that's your hub, right?
Yeah.
But a well-designed online store, it's like having a virtual tap room.
Yeah.
It's open 24/7.
Okay.
And I mean, especially these days, people really, really value convenience.
True.
So imagine, like, someone discovers your brand online at 10:00 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Yep.
They could just like go on there and snag a 4-pack of your latest IPA, maybe a T-shirt.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Okay.
So the article, they get into the specifics of like what an online store should offer. They talk about seamless purchasing of beer and merchandise, gift card options, and secure payment integration. What are like the non-negotiables for you?
Definitely the seamless part.
Okay.
Because particularly in Australia, there are regulations. So for your online store, platforms like Shopify, they offer a really easy integration with age verification tools.
Right, which is super important.
Which is absolutely essential, yes.
Okay.
And, it just shows responsible business practice as well.
Totally.
And then in terms of payment, options like Apple Pay or PayPal,
Yeah.
that can really reduce friction at checkout.
Right.
And really encourage those impulse buys.
Okay, so we've enticed them with the beer descriptions, and they can buy it online. So they can get it delivered, they can do all that. What's next?
All right, let's bring them into the heart of the operation, right? Brewery tours.
Okay, now some might argue online content is enough. Why bother with tours when you've put all this effort into making your brand awesome online?
Well, I think a brewery tour is it's the ultimate brand experience.
Okay.
It's a chance for people to go behind the scenes, smell the hops,
Yeah.
see the tanks, meet the passionate people behind the beer.
Yeah.
And that in-person connection, that builds loyalty. like in a way that no website ever could.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. So, this article, they highlight the importance of clear descriptions of the tour experience,
Yeah.
showcasing the beers that are available for tasting, and importantly, a really, really smooth online booking system.
Yes.
What are like the biggest pitfalls you see with brewery tour booking systems?
Oh, I've seen some disasters.
Yeah.
Calendars that don't sync properly,
Oh no.
confusing time slots, limited payment options. It can get messy.
Yeah,
So, yeah, clarity is really key here.
Right.
You want a platform that integrates seamlessly with your website. It's easy for customers to navigate, and it clearly shows available slots, tour details, and pricing. You could even consider like a platform specifically designed for tour bookings, like Peak Pro, for example.
Okay, so no more like handwritten sign-up sheets at the bar.
Unless that's part of your quirky charm,
Yeah.
I'd say go digital.
Okay.
And of course, here in Australia, we need to be mindful of any regional guidelines when it comes to brewery visits and, responsible alcohol consumption.
Of course.
So those details should be clear during booking as well.
All right. Okay, so we've covered the beer, we've got our online store, we've got the tours. What's next?
Let's talk about events.
Okay.
Turning your microbrewery into like a vibrant community hub
Right.
through
Yes.
events. Think trivia nights, beer pairings, live music. Maybe you could do homebrew competitions.
Oh, that's a great idea. But I feel like events, wouldn't social media be a more effective way to promote those kinds of things?
Yeah, for sure. Social media is great for spreading the word. But your website, that can be like the central hub
Okay.
for all the event details.
Okay.
So, imagine like eye-catching banners on your homepage announcing upcoming events.
I like it.
And then, you click on that, it takes you to a dedicated page with all the information, that people need.
Yeah, the article suggests using really visually appealing banners and content to promote these events. What are some ways to make those listings really stand out and grab people's attention?
High-quality photos and videos, that's crucial.
Okay.
Showcase the energy of past events with, images of people having a good time, clinking glasses, engaging with your brand.
Yeah.
Maybe even a short, snappy video recap of a previous event, just to really highlight that fun atmosphere.
I like it.
Yeah.
And then obviously seamless online RSVP and ticketing options.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's we've all experienced the frustration of a bad ticketing system, right?
Oh, yeah.
What platforms would you recommend for a smooth experience? Especially keeping in mind that age verification thing, since we're dealing with alcohol.
Yeah. There are quite a few options out there, but a platform like Eventbrite could be a good fit.
Okay.
It's user-friendly, handles age verification well, and it integrates with social media so people can easily share.
Easy.
And, they offer tiered pricing
Okay.
based on event size.
Right.
So you can choose a plan that, works for you.
Perfect. Speaking of being mindful of what we're putting out into the world, the last essential feature this article highlights is showcasing your sustainability practices. Now, is that really a make or break for a microbrewery website?
It might not be make or break.
Yeah.
But I think in today's world, consumers are, really conscious of their environmental impact. So it's a good way to connect.
Okay.
Transparency is key. So if you're, using solar energy in your brewing process, shout it from the rooftops.
Right.
If you partnered with local farmers for sustainable ingredients, tell that story.
Oh.
If you're using compostable packaging, let people know.
Yeah. The article specifically mentions highlighting things like the solar energy, the sustainable packaging materials, and waste reduction initiatives. What's the best way to present that information without it sounding preachy? You're not trying to shove it down people's throats,
Yeah, for sure. Authenticity is key.
Right.
So instead of just listing bullet points, weave your sustainability efforts into your brand story.
Okay.
So you could have a dedicated, our footprint page or something with photos and videos showcasing your practices.
I see.
Or you could create blog posts, or even short social media videos that highlight specific initiatives and their impact.
So it's about showing, not telling, essentially. Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about comprehensive beer listings, user-friendly online store, brewery tour information, engaging OLM listings, showcasing your sustainability efforts. That's a lot to think about for someone just starting out.
It can feel overwhelming.
Right.
But, remember, you don't have to implement everything all at once. Start with the essentials,
Right.
like, clearer beer listings and a functional online store.
Yeah.
And then gradually add, layer in the other elements as your brewery grows.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. And remember, it's all about creating a website that reflects your unique brand personality and resonates with your target audience.
Right. Do you have any like final thoughts or like overarching advice for our listener as they kind of embark on this website creation journey? Like, what's the one thing you wish every like microbrewery owner understood about their online presence?
I would say the biggest thing is to view your website not just as a marketing tool,
Yeah.
but as an extension of your brewery's soul. It's a place where people can connect with your passion, your story, your values.
Okay.
So infuse it with your personality, make it a true reflection of who you are as a brewer, and just let your enthusiasm shine through.
That's great advice.
Yeah. And that's what will truly captivate visitors and turn them into loyal customers.
That's inspiring. Now, are there any like standout examples of microbrewery websites that you think like really nail these key features?
Oh, there are tons of great ones out there. One that comes to mind is Stone and Wood. They're here in Australia.
Oh, nice.
They do a fantastic job of showcasing their brand story, highlighting their community involvement, and making their sustainability efforts, really front and center.
Okay.
Another one is Brewdog.
No.
They're a Scottish brewery
Yeah.
known for their kind of bold and unconventional approach,
I see.
which is reflected in their websites, like edgy design and engaging content.
Cool. So what is it specifically about those sites that makes them so effective, do you think?
Well, they're both visually appealing and easy to navigate,
Okay.
with clear calls to action. They guide visitors toward making a purchase, booking a tour, or learning more about the brand.
Right.
They use high-quality photos and videos, that tell a story and really capture the essence of their brewing philosophy.
Yeah.
And they do an excellent job of incorporating social media, using it to extend the conversation and build a community around their brand.
Okay, that's helpful. But I want to emphasize that building a great website, it's not about just copying what others are doing.
Right.
Like it's about taking these essential features and like infusing them with your own unique brand personality and vision.
Exactly.
What would you say are the key elements that make a microbrewery website truly like unique and memorable?
I think it's about finding those authentic touch points,
Okay.
the things that differentiate you
Right.
from the competition.
Okay.
So maybe it's, the story behind your brewery's name or the inspiration behind your flagship brew. Perhaps it's showcasing the unique ingredients you source or the local artist you collaborate with.
Right.
Whatever those elements are, just make sure that they're woven into the fabric of your website,
Right.
from the visuals to the copy to the overall user experience.
So it's about finding those elements that tell your story in
Yeah.
a way that resonates with your audience.
Exactly.
Okay. Speaking of stories, before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on the importance of incorporating your brand story into like every aspect of your website. How can our listener effectively use storytelling to create a connection with visitors and make them feel like they're part of something special?
Storytelling is essential for creating that emotional connection with your audience.
Okay.
So instead of just listing like facts and figures,
Right.
weave those details into a narrative that captures the heart of your brand.
Oh.
Share the story of how your brewery came to be, the challenges you've overcome, the passion that drives you. Use visuals that, evoke emotions and bring your story to life. And most importantly, just be authentic and genuine.
That's great advice. So while we're on the topic of making your website stand out, I wanted to touch on the importance of visual branding beyond just, having a nice logo. What are some key considerations for creating a visual identity that reflects your brand's personality?
Visual branding is all about creating like a cohesive and memorable aesthetic that really embodies your brewery's essence.
Okay.
So think about your color palette, typography, photography style, and overall, website design.
Right.
Do you want to convey like a sense of rustic charm or modern sophistication or playful irreverence?
Right.
Your visual choices, they should align with your brand's personality and resonate with the emotions you want to evoke.
Okay. So how does that translate to the actual design and layout of the website? What are some like common pitfalls to avoid?
One of the biggest pitfalls I see is cluttered and confusing layouts.
Okay.
Keep your website clean, uncluttered, easy to navigate.
Okay.
Use clear headings, concise copy, and high-quality images that enhance the user experience.
Yeah.
Think about the flow of information
Right.
and make sure visitors can easily find what they're looking for.
Okay. So it's not just about aesthetics. It's about functionality and user experience as well.
For sure, yeah.
All right. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that often gets overlooked. Search engine optimization, or SEO.
Okay.
Yeah, SEO. How important is that for a microbrewery website? And what are some basic steps our listener can take to improve their site's visibility and search results?
SEO is crucial for ensuring that people can actually find your website
Right.
when they're searching for, local breweries or specific beer styles.
Mm-hmm.
So start by optimizing your website's content with relevant keywords. Make sure your business information is consistent across all online platforms, from your website to your social media profiles to your Google My Business listing.
Right.
Build high-quality backlinks from other reputable websites.
Right.
And consider, using local SEO strategies to
Right.
target customers in your geographic area.
So it's about making sure you're visible to the right people at the right time.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of reaching the right audience, how important is it for a microbrewery to have a mobile-friendly website?
Oh, a mobile-friendly website is absolutely essential.
Okay.
I mean, these days it's a mobile-first world.
Yeah, for sure.
More and more people are using their smartphones to browse the web, and if your website isn't optimized for mobile devices, you're missing out on potential customers.
Right.
So make sure your website is responsive, meaning it adapts to different screen sizes and provides a seamless experience across all devices.
Yeah.
Test your website on various mobile devices to ensure it's easy to navigate, read, and interact with.
Right. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from beer listings to SEO. We've hit it all. Do you have any final thoughts or words of wisdom for our listener as they kind of embark on this exciting journey of building their microbrewery website?
Well, building a website can feel daunting, but remember, it's an ongoing process.
Oh.
Start with a solid foundation, get the essentials in place,
Yeah.
and then gradually layer in additional features and content as your brewery grows. Don't be afraid to experiment,
Yeah.
seek inspiration from others,
Yeah.
and most importantly, just have fun with it.
That's it.
Yeah, your website is an extension of your passion, so let that shine through in everything you do.
That's a great way to wrap things up. So to our listener, as you begin crafting your online presence, remember to make it a reflection of your unique brand identity. Prioritize user experience and never stop learning and evolving. It's like you're saying, a website's a living thing and needs to evolve as the brewery grows.
Exactly. It's a constant work in progress. Don't be afraid to tweak things, try new things. Always look for ways to improve the experience.
So it's not just set it and forget it, right?
No, not at all. The online world's always changing, and your website's got to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
Stay on top of those design trends. Look at new tech. Be open to feedback. What works today might not work tomorrow, so being flexible is key.
Yeah, totally. This deep dive has been packed with info. You've given our listener a ton to think about when it comes to their microbrewery website.
Well, happy to help. I love talking about craft beer and all things digital.
Before we go, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier about those Australian regulations. Can you give our listener a quick overview of the important things to keep in mind as they're building this website?
Absolutely. First up, age verification is huge. You've got to have systems in place to make sure anyone buying alcohol from your site is actually old enough, Might need a third-party service. Or age gates at checkout. You want to look into those responsible service of alcohol guidelines. Make sure your site promotes, responsible drinking. And any specific rules in your state or territory about selling alcohol online.
Got it. Compliance, definitely not something to mess around with. And speaking of essential but easily overlooked, what about data privacy? What should our listener do to make sure they're handling customer data responsibly?
Data privacy is super important, especially these days. Have a clear privacy policy that lays out how you collect, store, and use that customer data. Get their okay before grabbing any personal info, and have strong security measures in place to keep sensitive data safe from, prying eyes. Maybe even use a web hosting provider that's known for their security and follows all those privacy rules.
Building that trust, being open and responsible with their info. Okay, before we wrap this deep dive up, I want to leave our listener with one last thought. Imagine you're making the perfect pint. what ingredients go into that digital experience. Make it as refreshing, as flavorful, as memorable as your best beer.
What a great way to put it. Like a great beer, your website needs balance, complexity, a real personality. Choose each element carefully, from the looks to the words to how it all works, making sure every bit adds to that overall brand feel. And just like a brewer's always tweaking their recipe, don't be afraid to play around, change things up, keep making that website better and better.
Love that. And to our listener, we raise a glass to your success. May your beer be amazing, your website draw people in, and your microbrewery be a hit.